All right. Hi. My name is Aiden McCrory. I'm a junior here at STEAM Academy, which is like 11th grade. As a learner, I like to work with other people, and I like to debate and argue. I like to say arguing is my passion, because that's really like what makes me happy to learn, is when I can talk about it with someone else and debate it. And then I also love collaborating and just working with other people and getting other people's opinions on it. For elementary school, I actually went to a Spanish immersion program, and so I did half my day in Spanish. So science and math were in Spanish, and then I had social studies and reading English. And so now, and I left that in like 6th grade, and so now I'm bilingual in Spanish. Let's see.
So tell me this, I'm going to go back to you saying when you started, boy, that got me thinking, you like to argue.
I do.
Talk about some things that you argue with people about. Have you had an argument recently, or an ongoing argument, or debates, or whatever it is? I'd love to hear what kinds of things do you have opinions about that you think are worth arguing.
I'm actually very strongly opinionated, but what I actually don't even like to argue my own opinions, because I don't think that really makes sense, and so I actually usually argue the opposite of my opinion, and so I think it's fun. And so, like, I had an argument like yesterday about what color the sky was. I was like, this is my friend Taylor, and she's like, yeah, the sky's blue, and I'm like, no, the sky's orange sometimes it's just like, sometimes it's red, you never know. And so yeah, I eventually want to become a lawyer and go do that.
Do you argue politics?
I do.
You do?
A lot.
Do you take opposite opinions?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that a little bit.
Like gay marriage, I love arguing that one, because people feel really strongly about that one, especially right now, and so also arguing against it very strongly, like, oh, it's against this and against that, and people are just very confused a lot of the time, because they're like, you're like 16, how are you arguing? Like, why are you arguing about this? And I was like, just for fun. I've actually started actual real arguments on accident like that, because I defend a position that's not currently in that's not very popular, and it'll actually cause problems with friends.
So do your teachers here encourage students to talk and argue and bring up different opinions and points of view?
They do. My freshman year, we actually did this giant fake trial about censorship and banning books and everything, and I actually got to do, what was it, closing statements, and so I got to do that, and so I was actually with an English teacher, and so it was in the gym, and we had a real judge come in and a jury of parents and everything, and so they definitely encourage that.
What did you have a particular book that people wanted to ban?
Actually, the case was that the teacher was being charged with teaching banned books, and someone said that was not great. And so we were the defense, and we defended him, and we actually got him acquitted. We won.
There you go. Ira, what's a direction you want to go?
I'd love to hear just a little of your background and history. How did you get to this school? How did you arrive here?
Well, I actually started out in a magnet program, the Spanish immersion program. It was magnet, and then I left in 6th grade and went to just a regular school for middle school for 7th and 8th, and then I think I came to a school fair or something, and I saw STEAM, and it was that sounds actually pretty cool, because I do much better when I can do things that are hands-on and involved, and so we thought that would be the best for me. So we applied, and then I got in.
How much choice do you have here, and what kind of stuff you do?
You have a lot of choice. Last year, I did a book about political polarization and how that's affecting America and everything, when it was really supposed to be a project about censorship. And so you actually have a lot of freedom here to explore your interests and everything.
Tell us a little bit about your book. What did you do?
Which book?
About political
Oh.
polarization.
I made a website, and it's published on the internet right now.
If we wanted to find it, could we?
Mhm.
Tell us what it is.
It's a website, and so it goes over the causes and effects of political polarization, how like it's affected America, and where we were before, and how we can actually see its regression. Because Congress used to vote like a lot of times over party lines and everything, like because the graph I looked at, like, it showed a whole bunch of dots, and like here are like the conservatives and here are the liberals, and the dots were like this, but then now they're like two distinct blobs, which is not great.
Do you think there's any possibility that will get reversed at some point?
I think that for it to be reversed, we actually have to start talking about it, because, I talk about it a lot because I've done like 3 or 4 projects about it now, because it's interested me and everything, and so, but for it to be actually changed, we have to actually start talking about it, because really what it is that we as a society have become uncomfortable talking about things that we have to talk about, like abortion or like immigration or anything, because it's become so like stigmatized.
Do you think that kids in most high schools get to do what you're doing here? Talk about that a little bit, what you think the difference is.
Like, I talk to my friends who go to Lafayette, which is like a giant high school and everything, and they're all just like, none of them really want to be there. Like, they wake up and they're like, okay, I have to go to school today. I wake up and I'm like, I want to go to school today. I want to go and do this project, or, they're just not excited about it.
What about outside of school? What kinds of things do you do that you would say, this is really compelling for me?
I do Y Club, which is like KY and Kuna, which are both like model governments. And then I'm also running for junior student representative.
So you're pretty politically involved, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Are there things like the arts or sports, or like, Alex was talking to us about, he likes to work on cars. Are there things like that draw you, or is it only about school?
I do a lot of mental health things. Like, I did the Suicide Survivors Walk. I actually helped organize volunteers there.
Talk a little bit about that. What motivated you to get involved in that, Aiden?
Well, my cousin, he actually committed suicide 5 years ago, and so we got my family we got mixed with this survivors group and everything, and my aunt became one of their core members and everything, and so whenever they have an event or anything, she's like, oh, my nephew will happily come do this, and I will. And then,
how hard is it to get people to get involved in something that's kind of an activist project like suicide walks, or mental health related pieces?
Well, with mental health, it's getting easier because a lot of people know someone who has issues with their mental health or something. Everyone knows someone who has who struggles with depression and everything, and it's becoming a more and more thing where someone who's committed suicide or has had lots of issues with that in the past.
What would you say to teachers to get them to think about how to make it easier and more open for kids to have those do you think that's something that we should be thinking about as educators? Just talk about
I do. I think that we as the school system should start focusing not more on mental health, but just to help kids. If you have depression, you can talk about it with someone, or you feel anxiety or whatever, that's you can talk about that with a teacher, and then a teacher can, because right now it's become a thing where you talk to someone and then they send you off, and then you come back and you're not any better.
Yeah. What kinds of things do you think people would do in schools? What would the adults need to do to make that more responsive to what kids need?
I think that we just need to make it more of a conversation, because right now we have a big assembly, and then they're oh yeah, talk to us about it, and then that's it. That's all we hear about it all year. If we sometimes on there are special days of the year, National Mental Health Day, and then so you'll hear about it through social media, but you don't actually ever hear about it very often through the school, unless it's there's a problem. And so I think it should just become more of a conversation.
What's your relationship with your teachers here? What's that like?
I love all of my teachers. My Spanish teacher, Miss Sarver, Miss Ward, our government teacher, Mr. Idke, our world history teacher. I actually attended BEAK. I tend to be that one student that like argues a lot, but the teacher likes them because Dr. Lauer, our like biology teacher, talks about he would like because we would like go at it in class because I'd like because he also likes to argue, and so we would like go at it in class and then like I was like I came home one day I was like, Mom, he probably does not like me very much. I'm always arguing with him. And then him and my mom had like this meeting and he was like, yeah, he's very smart. And I was like, really? Like, are you being serious?
Yeah. When you came here, did you know you were going to be coming here? Or was it kind of did it surprise you when you got here what the school was really like?
Well, I found out about like half a year, I think, like a semester before. December, or no, it was like May or something, and I found out that, and I kind of just like was in, like I just like, I'm not even going. What? Like I can't leave all of my friends here. And so at first I was not coming. And then I actually talked to someone who had been here, and then they were like, yeah, you should really come. And so I came, and then I was really expecting it to be like, I don't know, less. I thought it was going to be like one of those like really like smart people schools and everything, and like really like high esteemed and everything. And serious, and then I got here and we learned stuff, but the fun way.
Yeah. What do you worry about, Aiden? What do you think adults should maybe be thinking about that is on the minds of kids, that worries teens, that gets you thinking about, you've talked about a few things, but when you look at the big picture of America and you talk about polarization and things like that, what are some of the things that you think that maybe should be a part of the curriculum that are not?
How to actually argue with people. That sounds like weird, but like no one can argue anymore. It's kind of annoying because like I try to argue with someone and then they get flustered and emotional, and like I was trying to have a conversation with, you know what I mean? Like me stating this opinion, not my opinion. Like it might be my opinion, but me stating this opinion should not like trigger such a strong response in you. And like especially like a lot of baby boomers and everything, they get like really heated. Like when I go to have dinner with my grandparents and I like bring up something that's kind of like not socially correct, they tend to get very heated about it because it's not correct. And so I think the conversation, like I think that parents should know that we as teens see how you respond to like those kinds of conversations, and that's being like copied by by us.
What kinds of things do you think kids here talk about when that may not have anything to do with school at all, that are important to them?
Actually, I think that there's so many things that kids can hear about or listen to because of like the internet and everything. I don't think that there's that, because there used to be like, you would reach adulthood and then you start having these conversations. Now, people like 12-year-olds are like getting on Twitter and like, I think that we should not have abortion. So I think that really we should like just.
Do you think that, because you said earlier that you've said it's important for people to learn how to argue, and you've also said it's important for people to be able to argue different points of view. Talk about how important is it for people to actually study an issue before they get to argue it, and how does that fit into what schools do? I think about climate change right now is huge, but how many people really understand that? Could be anything.
So actually, in freshman year, we actually had an entire unit about it. It was like integrated science. We had an entire unit about climate change, it was climate change. And so we actually talked about that and everything. And we actually like looked at scientific sources and everything. And it's so incredibly important for people to actually research the topics that they think that they know everything about, because as soon as they start talking about it and they run out of the points that they've heard like on TV or something, then they get mean or just like overall rude because they don't have anything else to say about it.
You said you might like to be a lawyer after you go through some education. What attracts you to that as a profession, and what do you think lawyers really do? What would you imagine yourself doing as a lawyer?
Well, it attracted like me as a person because when I was talking to a lawyer, they were talking about how much how they don't ever actually have to choose what they want to do with their lives. And I, as a person, like, I don't really like to settle down for too long. I like to be constantly moving and changing. And so as a lawyer, I could go and I could be a defense attorney, or I could be a prosecutor, or a private, what's it called? Or just like an intellectual property lawyer. And there's so many different things I could do as a lawyer instead of just being one. And then I also was told, because I've always been an arguer, that I should be a lawyer. And so that's definitely factored in.
Who told you that?
The majority of my family, because I go there and I'll argue with all of them.
Do you remember before you started school, do you think that you were the kind of kid that they saw that in even when you were maybe 3 years old?
Oh, definitely. I would go because I've always like been like a information sponge. Like I'll go and I'll absorb all the information and then I'll go back and I'll recite it. And so like I would hear my mom talking to someone about it, and then I would go to my grandparents and they'd be like, "So this is what we think," and I'd be like, "Actually, that's not true. I heard this about it, so you're obviously very wrong." And so there's definitely been that whole me as a.
Do you have a book or a couple of books that have, or a movie or something that you really love that's influenced you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyone out there in society that you think is a role model for you?
Oh, my mom definitely. My mom is a single parent, and we always joke that we have the same personality because she's the same way I am with arguing and everything. And so, like, we like both like to argue, and so when we actually get in arguments, it gets pretty crazy.
That's pretty cool. What else, Ira?
Well, we'll let you go in a moment.
As much as you like to argue, that we're not going to open anything up in here.
No, we're not going to. But
he argues with people all the time on Twitter.
So when I get bored, I get on Twitter and I start arguing with people.
Really?
I follow like 6 different like debate pages, and so you'll go into the comments and everything and just start arguing with everyone. It's great.
The kids need to learn how to, you talk about learning how to argue, but arguing on social media is even a different form. Is it important for kids to learn how to do that?
Yes, because especially where we are with like society today, it's like also not just important for them to learn, it's also important for them to learn when to walk away. Because eventually like you get to the point of the argument when there's nothing more that you can say from your perspective. And that's when people get mean and ugly and just awful. And so.
Do you think it's different on social media than it is person to person?
Definitely.
Talk about that.
Because like when you argue with someone on social media, it's different because you don't actually see them, like, and so you'll say terrible things to them. Because I'm biracial, I've had actually someone call me like an abomination because they're like, "Oh, we shouldn't do that." And I was like, "Oh, wow, you really just like went there," and so when you're like, it's over social media, they'll go farther and they'll push more buttons to try to get a rise out of you. Where in person, like, they're more likely to just walk away and be mad at you than.
How important is it for educators to really think about when you say, I'm biracial? How important is it for educators to really understand or think about really knowing what kids' lives are like from different demographics, whether it's a child that's maybe come out because they're gay or transgender or biracial, you've got, maybe you're Hispanic, Latino, and how does this school bring that out in the school?
This school, actually, I was kind of worried because, like, I don't know, I was just like, I got here and I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like, but then there's so much diversity here. There's a joke that my entire class is gay. It's not true, but like there's this joke because like 75% of us are. It was like a ridiculous number, and so but like they've definitely found a way to like kind of coax those perspectives out of us in a healthy way, and so we talk about it and like we can actually like have those conversations about it that we need to have. Like, oh, I'm confused about this. Okay, like, well, I can help you with that.
Very cool.
Well, thank you very much, Amy.
Yeah,
This was great. It's great listening to you, getting to know you.
We never know what somebody's going to say.